guys, this is Christy Fulk with Create with Christy. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the U.S. Well, today I'm celebrating the brand new annual catalog. It's Stampin' Up's 23 to 24 annual catalog. Love this catalog, and I think you're going to like it too. This is using the Crafting with You bundle, and I'll show you that bundle here in just a minute. I almost didn't get this bundle, but I'm so glad I did. I really had fun making this card. Liked making it so much. This is going to be one of my free card class at homes, probably here in May, definitely by June. But I think I'll be using it here in May real soon. And if you don't know about my free card class at homes, click on the link that says current host code offer, and that will take you to my current class. The class video happened Thursday night, May 4th at 7:30 p.m. My lives are every week on Thursday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. So if you ever want to join me live, just come back to the YouTube channel and you'll see my lives there. But this one, I promise, will be one of my lives real soon. So if you'd like to stamp along with me, just look down in the video description below and click on that blog post link. And that way you can get there and get the supply list. And you'll also find the dimensions to cut out the cardstock and everything. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, first off, as usual, I want to show you the bundle I'm using. This is the Crafting with You bundle I just talked about. I love this. I love how there is a stamp that looks just like our die cutting machine. Love that. Sewing machine. It covers a bunch of different crafts. I love this die right here. Looks just like our paper trimmer. I love that. There are just so many neat things you can make with this, and it covers so many different crafts. Now, this time I'm using the stamps and the dies that kind of bring on sewing, like embroidery or canted cross stitch. And I used to canted cross stitch a lot. I love doing it, but I haven't done it for a long time because I got into card making and scrapbooking. So the dies I'm going to use is this embroidery hoop right here. And I'm also going to be using the scissors. Oops, so I can get a hold of them. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and use both sets of the spools. And then we've also got two dies here that do the die cutting that looks like the thread on the spools. So those are all the dies I need. And with the stamps, I used this floral image right here. This is separate from the easel, so that's a separate stamp. And also I used the Sending You a Handmade Hug. I'm also using a new embossing folder called Countryside Blossoms. This is part of the Countryside Corners suite. This one is not available right now. It's been so popular, it's already sold out, but they are getting more, I promise, since it just became available. Can't remember when it's coming, but it should be coming soon. I'll go look that up and I'll put that along the bottom of the screen so you know when they're expecting it. Hopefully it won't be late. Hopefully it'll come early, but it's a really neat embossing folder. Okay, normally I do stamping first, but it's actually easier to get the die cutting and embossing out of the way first. So first we're going to do some die cutting. So if you have our Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, it's the base plate or the platform. There's the die plate and a standard cutting plate. I'm going to bring in a piece of basic white. This is a 2x2 inch piece. I'm also going to bring in a piece of crumb cake. This one is a 2.5 by 3.25 inch piece. And what I'm going to do, actually let's do these separate. I forgot I'm using the same die. This one, I really just want the circle in it, so I'm okay with it being smaller than what the die is. I didn't want to waste any. Now, if you want to have a white frame for something else, then make it a little bigger. I'll go ahead and run this through real quick. Like so. Because it not only makes the little embroidery hoop, it also gives you this really neat circle. So I'm going to need that. Get this out of the way. And now with this crumb cake piece, this can go here. And originally I had die cut. I put all of these over here. There's enough room to get all of I'm sorry, you just need these. These are going to be different colors. But these would go here to do the spools. But I don't need to do that. I already die cut these since I'm always showing the sandwich, the exact same sandwich. So when I die cut them, I had extras to begin with because the threads do 2 and I did 3 different colors and I only need 1 of each color. So I thought I'm not going to waste these. I'm going to use them. So here are the 3 spools, and then these are the colors of the thread that I used. So this is with the crumb cake. That is boho blue, That is Misty Moonlight, and this one is Wild Wheat. So didn't want to waste those, so that's why I'm not die cutting those now. But I am going to go ahead and die cut this. So I'll run this through. And I love how the thread die here also embosses, so it makes it look like it really is thread. So I'll go ahead and take this off. Oh, it's static clean there going. I'm going to keep this circle. I am going to use that. So we've got 2 circles now. I'm also going to be using this. Let me grab my take your pick tool. And we'll just get it started here. I just make sure I get the handle loosened up right here and it comes out real easy. Oh, part of the white one from last time was still there, but that's okay. It's still die cut just fine and embossed. I like the little edge it makes for that, but doesn't that look like a really neat embroidery hoop? I really like that. So that is all the, no, that is not all the die cutting. I should have done this with the thimble, with the embroidery hoop. I forgot. This is a piece of the silver foil specialty pack. This is a 2.5 by 1 inch piece. There are 3 different silver foils in it. This is one that definitely looks like silver. The others are almost like a purplish silver, but this is the one that's just the matte silver, a brushed silver, I guess you could say. And let me see if, oh, there we go. Then we've got our scissors. Oops, our scissors right here. So I'll just put this right there and run it through. And then when we'll be done with the die cutting. Yep, I definitely could have done this with the embroidery hoop, the crumb cake one. But that's all right. So now we have our scissors. The die set is so cool. I love it. Oh, let me get these over in my other dish so I don't start looking around for it. Okay, so now I'm going to do some embossing. So we do not need the die plate. The Countryside Blossoms is a regular embossing folder. It's not a 3D. So I do need still the base platform and a standard cutting plate. I'm grabbing a piece of boho blue. This is 4 by 5 1/4. Love this boho blue. I put this in. Oh, and speaking of boho blue, remember this mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine we had during Celebration that you could get free with one of our starter kit deals during Celebration? Well, they still have extras of those, and they are now available to purchase. So if you go to the online store, you can find it there. It's probably under the online exclusive since it's not in a catalog. And make sure you check that out. If you were wanting to get that boho blue machine, you can. It's while supplies last, so make sure you get them before they go out. But seeing that boho blue made me think of that. Now I'm kind of putting this in the center. We once again have a line to go across here to keep it straight. Kind of keep it in the center because it kind of starts out with this little center flower. We're actually covering this up. But I just want to show you how you can center all these up. And it just looks so cool. I really like this one a lot. Put it down, fold first. Put the standard cutting plate on top. We will run this through. Oops, boy, everything is sticking today. And there we go. It is so neat. I love this embossing folder. Have a lot of fun with this one. So, okay, we're all done with the die cutting machine. So let's go ahead and get some stamping done and then finish the card. Okay, now it's time to get some stamping done. I'm going to grab the crumb cake circle that came out of that embroidery hoop that we're using. I'm going to use Night of Navy ink. And I'm going to grab that greeting that says sending you a handmade hug. Ink this up. And with it being photopolymer, I can see right through it, so I can tell right where I'm going to stamp it. Put that right there, close to the center. Doesn't have to be perfect. And there we go. We have our handmade hug. Makes it perfect. And there's a couple other greetings that fit in this circle as well. Now I'm going to bring in the white circle that I die cut. And I'm going to bring in the flower image here. Don't need the Night of Navy anymore, so let's close that up. I'm going to be using boho blue and wild wheat, and I have some sponge stoppers for both of them. So now I'm going to take this, pick up some ink, and wherever there are flowers, I'm going to pounce on it. Just the flowers. I don't want to do any of the leaves. If I get a little bit of blue on the leaves, it's going to be okay. Because when I put the wild wheat on it, it will cover it up. Now, this one is kind of smaller. It's in between some leaves. So to try to make it so I don't get it on the leaves, I'm going to just angle this so I just get the side of the dopper. There we go. That's doing pretty good. Pick up a little more ink, I think. There we go. I think I got all the flowers. I did those first because they're kind of on the inside. The leaves are on the outside. They're a little easier to do. So now I've got the wild wheat color. When I first saw this color, I thought of it more as a yellowish color. There's definitely some yellow in it, but it's got a lot of green in it too, so it goes really well with the leaves. So this little leaf is probably the hardest one to get, so I'm really at an angle here. But I am not going to worry if I get a little bit of green on the flowers, I'm just wanting it to look, that kind of gives it a neat watercolor look, an artsy look, I guess you could say. So go ahead and close this up because we're all done with the ink. And I'm just going to stamp this right about here in the center. Hold it down for a few seconds. And you can use markers, but when I was using our Stampin' Right markers, I was getting so many streaks on this, it just didn't look right. Now here you're kind of looking at this thinking, that looks okay. The thing is, this is going to lighten up as it dries, so it's going to look really good when it's all done. But this looked a lot better to me anyway than using the markers. You go ahead and play around with how you want to do it, what works best for you, but this is what worked best for me. We all craft a little differently, so you might like using the markers a lot better. Okay, now let's get those scissors. We've got little pieces here. We could just put them together. Actually, this goes on top, like so. But you could just have the silver scissors, but I wanted to have the handles be a different color. Now, I could have taken some Night of Navy, because that's the handles color I'm going for, and use cardstock. So just die cut it in the Night of Navy cardstock, and then there's a little line. I don't know if you can see that right here. You could just cut the blades off and then glue the Night of Navy handles on here. But I thought I'd try and show you a different way. This is a dark Night of Navy Stampin' Blend. I'm going to use the brush tip. And I'm going to just color from that line up. So yes, you can color our foil, especially the silver foil, to whatever color you want it. I've done it with the gold too, and it looks good with the gold. It changes the color just a little bit, but not much. Now our Stampin' Right markers will not work doing this, only the Stampin' Blends because they're alcohol based. So if I can get a hold of this one, just keep coloring these. And then after it dries really fast since it's alcohol based. So get this all done. And I'm going to go back over here. Now one thing, do a very light touch, kind of pounce on it if you want to make a couple little darker spots, because it starts to actually take off the original Stampin' Blend ink that you already put on. It's like the alcohol in here kind of makes it smear a little bit. So just do a light touch to make it a little bit darker. There we go. So now this will dry really fast. I do still need a little bit more here. So let's see if I can get that. There we go. If you go you never want to go hard anyway, because that will hurt the brush tip. You want to keep it so it doesn't start fraying on you. But if you use a light touch, which is all it's needed, it does a great job. Even when you're coloring on cardstock, don't use use a very light touch. Okay, so now the way you put these together, the one with the hole is the one that goes on top. Okay, so I kind of like them being open a little bit. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take my glue dots, see if I can get a hold of them here. They're kind of hiding on me. This one is just about out. Let's see if oh yeah, there's still one here. What I'm going to do, if I can get a hold of it, right in this area, right above that line right there, right in the middle of the blue, I'm going to put a glue dot. Okay, I don't want it to go below that, and it didn't, which did just fine. And now I'm going to put this one right on top. I'm going to angle it a little bit because I do want them to be open just a little bit. Not a lot, but just a little bit. And then you can squeeze them together. And I am okay that there's some glue dot coming through that hole, because I'm going to put an embellishment on that here in just a minute. So that actually is going to end up helping the embellishment stay on even better than it would have been to begin with. So there are our scissors. Those are all ready to go. And I think we can put this out of the way and start putting the card together. So I'll grab the card base. This is a 5.5 by 8.5 piece of Night of Navy. Get those corners lined up here. Get my bone folder out. Got that folded really nice. And now I'm going to grab that boho blue piece that we already embossed. I'm using a piece of the Countryside Inn DSP. Love this paper. Love the blues in it. So I'm going to put this one. This is a 1.5 by 5 1/4 inch piece. Let me grab my, oh, there it is. This is my seal. And this paper goes perfectly with this Countryside Blossoms Embossing Folder too. And this is going to go right along the left edge of the boho piece. There we go. I'm going to turn it over. Oh, looks perfect. Last time I made my original, the DSP was just a little bit too long, and I just had to turn that off, but that looks good. Now I'm grabbing a piece of Night of Navy bordered ribbon. This was first in the January to April mini catalog, but thankfully it made it into the new catalog as well. I'm going to grab my silicone mat here, put a little bit of adhesive on both ends of the ribbon. And I'm going to wrap this right around. I'm going to put the edge just over the edge of the ribbon, just over the edge of the DSP. Make sure it looks pretty straight before I put the last one down. I'm kind of looking at the DSP to see if this width looks about the same. That looks pretty good. Okay, now that we have the ribbon across there, I'm going to go ahead and put some adhesive on here. I'm putting a little bit of adhesive on top of the ribbon so it stays on the card. Now you can do it with the paper over here, but I liked it better this way. Just put that right here in the middle. Okay. Now I'm going to grab all these little pieces of the embroidery hoop and my hug. Get an idea where I want this to go. And this is going to go about here. So what I'm going to do, I'll go ahead and I can tell that's about where I want it. So I'm going to leave this here. I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to just keep it in about the same spot. So all I have to do is turn it back over. And I kind of like the flowers this way. Okay, put this down. And now I'll take my silicone mat again. I'm going to turn my embroidery hoop over. I'm going to just put a little bit, I might need to take the dry glue off of here. Glue on here, just a little. There we go. It wasn't coming out there for a second. I was being super careful because I didn't want to squeeze out too much since this is kind of thin. Just kind of put it in a few little places. You can go all the way around. I pretty much have gone all the way around. But I didn't bother to put any on this top part of the hoop because that's something I can hold on to without getting glue all over my fingers. And I kind of liked this angled a little bit. And it'll go right around that circle. Hold it down for a few seconds. You might have to push it a little bit to get it to go right up against the circle. Okay. Now, go ahead and put that glue away. Just put regular adhesive on this circle. And I'm going to angle it like this. I'm covering up this bare spot here on the white circle. I'm angling it a little bit too. Okay, now I've got a 9-inch piece of white baker's twine. This is from the Baker's Twine Essentials pack. I'm going to wrap this around the top handle. That's another reason not to put glue on that. And I tried to put this on before I attached it to the card and found out it was a lot easier to do while it was attached to the card. So I'm going to do a little single knot here, making sure it gets wrapped around there. Once you get that wrapped around, it's a lot easier to start to tie. When you do a bow, it's a lot easier to have the strands go perpendicular. I always start with the bottom, do my little loop, bring this around, tie my little bow, just play around with it until it looks good to you. I don't want the loops to be too big, so let's bring those down a little bit. Tighten that up. This one's still not quite right. There we go. That looks much better. Okay, now I'm going to take my scissors and trim these ends down just a little bit. They're just a little bit too long. There we go. So that's all ready to go. We've got a little more to put on here. Don't forget about our scissors. Let's bring those scissors in and get my mat out again. And I'm just going to put, this is kind of narrow. I could put seal on here. You know what? We'll just use glue dots. But I can definitely just put some glue on this too. If I put a couple glue dots, oh, I am almost out here. I'm going to put one in this big area right here. And then I think I'm going to put one down here a little bit. I'm not going to do too much. Actually, that is probably good enough right there. So one here and one kind of right above. And it looks like I did go where that opening is a little bit. So I'll just take my finger and kind of bring that glue dot back. Then it's ready to go. And I kind of like to angle it like this. Try not to cover up anything. There we go. So now the scissors are on. Now we want to put those thimbles together. Or spools together, actually, not thimbles. I don't know why I keep calling them thimbles. So we'll get all three spools out here. And then I want to get my thread die cuts out. Making sure that we put the adhesive on the right side, the correct side, because we've got the thread on one side. One side's flat, that's the back. So I'm going to, you know what I'm going to do? This time I am just going to use some glue instead of glue dots. Because I think that's just going to work a little bit easier. And that way, if I don't get it placed right where I want it, I can kind of scoot it around a little bit before the glue dot dries. So I'm going to put this right here in the middle of the spool. Hold it down for a few seconds. Do the same thing with the other two. Okay, now the thimbles are all made. Oops, except for this one. Let's get this one back on there. There we go. Some of it turned over on me. I got a little glue on my silicone mat. That's why I use my silicone mat. That way that glue will dry. I can peel it right off. And it keeps my new surface. As you can tell, those of you who watched my videos before, I took away the wooden one. I want to match the background that I used for my pictures on my blog. So I hope you like this one. It kind of brightens things up a little bit too. So I'm going to go ahead. The green one here, I'm going to put on right over here. And this time I think I will use glue dots, and I better get another pack out here because that one, I used the last one. Thankfully I had some with me. And now I don't mind if I used the glue, that way I could scoot these around so I get them right where I wanted them. But putting these, the whole spool on is a lot easier. So I'm going to put one on each end so I don't have to worry about getting it in the exact right place. That works just fine. Now, the other two, I kind of like those being popped up a little bit. So I'm going to grab some black, because these are kind of dark. My black dimensionals, I'm using the minis. And you know what? Let's see, would this work? I think it will. Last time I used the minis, you can definitely do that. But I like to use every bit. I don't want to put any of this to waste. So I'm going to cut these little strips here. Like so, while they're still on the backing. And I think that is going to be perfect. Make sure it's not too thick. Oh, it just fits. What you could do, and I think that's what I'm going to do because that one just fit. I'm going to cut this in half so it's a little narrower. And now I don't have to worry about that dimensional showing. There we go. It's also a little longer than these, so that kind of makes it so it doesn't wobble. But this one I think is going to be, yep, it's going to be fine. We're not going to see it. So I'm going to take the paper backings off. Just scoop them up. See if I can hold that little one. Sometimes little ones don't like to come off as easy. There we go. And I liked the boho blue being down here. So I'm kind of do it, lightly put it on there until it looks good to me. I think I'm going to pop it up just a little bit more. There, that looks good. And then this one, I'm going to put right up here with this one. Okay. So we are almost done with this card. We've got an inside to do too, but it's going to be real quick. But I definitely want to put some bling on. So I'm using the Festive Pearls. These were in the holiday catalog last fall, but they are now in the new annual catalog. So these were all the colors. As you can tell, I've used a lot of them. But I'm going to use the silver ones on this one because I thought I would go with the silver in the scissors. And I thought these flowers needed centers. So I'm just going to put one in each flower center. Like so. That looks pretty good. And remember, we needed a little thing in our scissors. I originally had just done this on the scissors, and I thought, oh, those will look good as centers for the flowers too. But now we'll put that right in there, and that finishes off the scissors very nicely. One more thing to do. We got to do the inside, so I'll kind of put this to the side. I'm grabbing a piece of basic white. Oh, I've got some glue on here. Get rid of that. 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece. And then I've got another piece of the same DSP that I used on the front. This one is a 3/4 inch by 5 1/4. Since it's kind of narrow, I'm just going to put along the middle here on each end. Maybe a little bit more there. I'm going to put this is actually going to be on the right side instead of the left. Normally I do it on the left or along the bottom. But I'll show you why I just did it this way instead. And I can tell there's some DSP hanging over, so I'll cut that off there. When you open this, since this one's on the left, I thought it would look kind of neat opening it up with that on the right. So that's why I decided to do it that way. But you do whichever side you like best. And that is all we're going to do for this side. Put that right here in the middle. And we are done with my first Crafting With You bundle card. Hope you enjoyed this, and if you'd like to stamp along with me again, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and then when you see the bell icon, click on it and select all. That way YouTube will notify you every time I upload a video and you won't miss anything. And also, if you live in the United States and do not have a demonstrator of your own, I would love to be yours, and I'd love to send your first catalog out to you free. This is the new annual catalog. This is what this beautiful bundle came out of. And just click that contact me link below in the video description and send me your mailing address and I'll get one mailed out to you right away. Just look at the card one more time. Thank you again for watching my video. I really appreciate your support and I love hearing from you too. So if you want to comment below, if you have any questions, I just love interacting with you. And if you liked it, like it. Just whatever you want to do. It's fun to interact with you guys and I really hope you enjoyed the video. So I'll see you next time in the next video and hopefully in a card class at home live. Create with you later. Bye.